Ever dreamed of building your own city? Well, now you can. Again, because there's a few board games like this, with My City by Reinier Knizia. So I'll start with the unboxing. First thing to say, classic Cosmos type box. They scrimp on some of the excess, but I think sometimes that's a good thing. I like the little touches though, the city scape in the My City and the sea of the My City. There you are, 2 to 4 players, 10 and up, 30 odd minutes. There's your boards. Now we have unpacked this, so sorry to say that you won't see it sealed, but obviously the differentiation token at the top there's different ones for each board, and I won't go through the rest, but anyway, there's your rulebook, which obviously evolves because you have, as you can see, chapter cards. So there's chapter 1, chapter 2, all the way up to I think chapter 12. Is it chapter 12? No, chapter 8. Apologies. It's just because there are multiple levels, it feels like it's a bit longer than it is. Then you have each of the particular, as we've shown boards a second ago, we have pieces for those, and then we have our cards here as well, which are the cards, the draw cards for which pieces are pulled, and our scoring markers here. So that's pretty much it. Right, join us as now we'll do a quick playthrough of My City and then we'll do the review. This is My City, is all ready to go here. Looks quite good. Now just to note, we're playing the base version of the game, which is this board here, and that comes as part of the chapters. Now we did say there were 12 chapters, but actually, to be honest with you, there's 24. But as you can see here, the chapter 1, the New Landers, episodes 1 to 3, some of them feel like they merge into each other, so that's why we felt there were basically about 12. You've got your Eternal board on the other side, which is not the board you'll use if you're playing the chapters. This is just effectively the Eternal game, so to speak, and we'll put that down there. Now you will need your draw card here. This is your draw pile that will need to be freshly shuffled and ready to go. You'll need your scoring marker here, and then you'll need all your pieces somewhere close by. I keep them normally here, so when you draw your cards you know where they go. And that is effectively the startup. Now we've got the booklet here, and I would recommend first time you just have the booklet. Some games you don't need a booklet next to you, but you will need this just for the first game. Just to note, you'll need the pieces that match the board as well. So these pieces are from the bear board, and there's the bear there, just to show you. And other things to note as well. So what we do is we draw a card, and obviously you'll have 2, 3, 4. Someone has put a solo variant up, but we won't be playing that. We'll just quickly show you this. So this is the piece that's been selected. You'll lay that down and everyone finds that piece. I found my piece there. And then you have to lay it on the board. Now you will need to effectively be touching, the first piece will have to touch the river. It will have to be along the river, and it can't be like just bordering it like that. It has to effectively touch the river. One whole side has to touch the river. So you will effectively look to do that for your first piece, and then after every next piece, every piece that's been played after that has to touch a building that's already been laid. So now to note, you can't cross the river like that. That's an illegal move, and you will find that people will find that quite confusing. What is a question which obviously pops up a lot is people ask, can they sort of trial and see if they can put pieces in? That's really up to you. The game suggests you don't do it, but I think that it's unfair to. I think sometimes it's easier just to play where people can kind of try and slot in things, just because it makes life a lot easier. Now you'll notice on the board you've got these little spots here. These are places where you'll find additional elements will be added to, so it's just a case of just being conscious of that. Now you do score points for trees at the end of the round. If trees are showing, you score points for those, which go into your VP. For each rock that is showing as well, you lose points, so it's a good idea to cover those rocks. And then of course each empty light green space visible on the game board the player loses, so that's any of these light green spaces here that are left on the player board you basically lose points for, I guess, because that's seen as prime real estate. Fair enough. Then you effectively will go through and play each round, scoring at the end of the round, and any buildings that are left over, you effectively I don't believe you lose points for, but what will effectively happen is it just means that you'll be encumbered when you play later. And that's it. That is the game in its entirety. It's as simple as that. You will effectively work through each of the chapters until you complete the game, and then that's it. You're off and running. Then I guess the logic would be to flip it over to your Eternal board and start all over again. My feelings towards My City are pretty much the same as my feelings towards Rainier. Rainier Knizia is kind of a one-man game factory and very good at what he does. His games sometimes are not great, and to be fair, you'll find that they're not the kind of most amicable games, but you still respect them. So he's the sort of guy that makes a ton of games, you respect what he does and respect the quality of the product, but sometimes the game is not particularly that good, or something that's going to kind of be played long term. My City is effectively one of those games. It's the sort of game that, yeah, I like the idea of the chapters, and I think I like the idea of the building of the city and how each round will affect the new development of the city and kind of the rationale behind how you grow. But it feels like a very sort of dull sort of addition to it, and by the time you get to about the 5th chapter, sometimes it can be quite irritating because you feel like your restrictions are so much that you're really boxed in. And if you play 2-player, I think that will effectively lose its sort of shine very quickly. The other thing is that in 3-player mode, and I think there is only 4-player, which we haven't played, you will find that someone will either excel at it or will basically lag behind, and it will drastically just grow as the chapters go on. The biggest problem with the chapters as well is the fact that they often have parts that kind of flow into each other. So parts, personally I found part 2 and 3, for instance, just merged together and became sort of the same thing. And then also later in chapter 4, I think the sort of first and second part of that were very similar as well, and then it sort of goes up a notch where it becomes completely sort of difficult to do certain things. That said, I think that for people who are more seasoned gamers and are looking for a game where they can play together and kind of the game has a memory as such, this is probably something that they would be eager to play, but I don't know if they'll keep playing, and I don't know if the sort of game that they'll keep in their collection, whether they'll probably just decide that enough's enough and either stick with the Eternal game or effectively just say, or just sell it off, or swap it or pass it on to someone else. Anyway, that was My City. I'm Simon and this is Game Club, and thank you for watching.